in a lot of his rallies as of late.
So I also want to touch on another thing you mentioned, is that Donald Trump is a New Yorker. He was born and raised there. And Madison Square Garden is, to New Yorkers, a very important place, a very famous place, has a lot of history, a lot of significance to people in the city. Is it possible that all that other stuff is a coincidence and he just wants to be on the big stage in his hometown?
I mean, listen, the Garden is a magic place. I think what is very specific is that he's good friends with the Dolans, who are in charge, and they have been very clear that they are supporters of Donald Trump, as are many millionaires and billionaires. And so I think that is a locale that is the center of the city, was to basically show that he's got the type of popular support that, say, Kamala Harris has been filling stadiums night after night. I think this is a way for him to kind of get back on track. And, we know that Donald Trump wants and wants to be a leader in the news cycle, and this is definitely a way to do it.
New York is a big city, it's a diverse city. How is the city reacting to Donald Trump and his supporters coming right into the center of town?
Thus far, we haven't seen any instances of extreme violence. There's obviously counter-protesters who essentially say that, he doesn't belong in New York City. As you laid out, we're an incredibly diverse city in all facets of the word. But, there are many shades of blue in New York, and there are quite a few Republicans in New York City as well. So I think that, there are people who still like the message of Donald Trump, who feel that New York is maybe getting too diverse, racially and ethnically. And so I am curious to see, where all these patrons are from, supporters are from. But I think we would be naive to say that, there isn't a facet of New Yorkers who are intrigued by this message. But thus far, thank goodness, it has been relatively peaceful between his supporters and people who really do not have an appetite for this type of language in their city.
So when Trump speaks on Sunday, will he be speaking to New York, or is he really just using this as a springboard to speak to the entire country or to the people in those battleground states whose vote he so badly needs?
This is an opportunity for him to speak to his supporters and get his message amplified. Since he is in New York, we know that this rally will be shown in larger national and international networks. And so this is a shortcut, a cognitive shortcut for him to speak to his supporters, many of whom have not been Netanyahu's rally, because it is Madison Square Garden, because it is in the middle of New York City, and because he knows that he can get the media attention to spread his message faster than if he chose to have this rally in Michigan or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania.
So perhaps shrewd PR on his part, no?
We have never said that Donald Trump isn't fantastic at PR or self-promotion. That may be one of his strongest parts that he has to play.
Christina Greer is an associate professor of political science and American studies at Fordham University. Professor Greer, thanks for your analysis tonight.
Thank you.
And finally today, representatives from nearly 200 countries will gather next month in Azerbaijan's capital, Baku, for the COP29 Climate Change Conference. Among other topics, the conference will focus on the money that wealthy nations give to less developed countries. Works from Berlin.
Back in 2009, the wealthiest nations agreed to collectively pay $100 billion each year through 2025 to slash carbon emissions that contribute to global warming and support the climate adaptation needs of developing countries. But a 2021 UN report declared this figure to be obsolete, saying the need has skyrocketed to $6 trillion annually. Even before, countries struggle to fulfill their promises, according to the UN Office for Economic Cooperation and Development. Much of the money was also given out as loans instead of grants. This can put already down-ridden countries in a dilemma. Guy Larson, director of Climate Finance Access at the World Resources Institute, told the VOA News.
Well, certainly we don't want developing countries who are already dealing with too much debt having to take on even more debt in order to deal with the crisis. In part because that means that many countries won't be able to invest in the resilience that they need, and so they won't be prepared when climate problems strike.
COP29 is not the finance COP, so wealthier nations that are responsible for most carbon emissions are set to negotiate contributions to help other countries be resilient against climate change and deal with losses and damage. Public funds and affordance grants to less developed countries can help build a good base, according to Carolina Huri, researcher at the Center on Climate Politics and Security at the Finnish Institute of International Affairs.
The solutions for this have been that this insecurity could be this onion structure, like in the core of the onion could be the public